Scott LeDoux and Larry Zbyszko. How you doing, Mr. Zbyszko?
Yeah, I'm on the line here. Is this Bruce?
Yeah, it surely is.
Doing good. I'm training hard. I'm in the best shape of my life. I feel great. I look marvelous. And I'm ready to show the Spud Cities here what their local yokel is made of.
Say, how did this all come about anyway? I kind of faded out of the scene here for a little bit. How did you guys finally decide you were going to get in the ring together?
Well, Larry took exception to a couple times when I was a referee. I had to make decisions for the AWA, and he felt that I was picking on him, which is his choice and his style, and he took exception to it, and once too many times he went to the well and tried to get at me, and unfortunately for him, he got too close last time, and I was able to move him back, so to speak, and since that time he's felt he was jumped because he attacked me from behind and I hit him, and now he wants to settle it in the ring, which would be fine by me. Face to face would be something unusual for him.
Larry, is that the way you see it?
That's a 100% lie. Especially the wrestling fans in this area have realized Scott LeDoux has never been around before referee. All of a sudden, Nick Bockwinkel and myself have come to a disagreement. Okay, and this disagreement involved big money. It involved the heavyweight championship of the world. I was involved with matches against Nick Bockwinkel, the outcome of which was basically going to, be presented to Stanley Blackburn and the championship committee, and the winner would be, qualified to go after the heavyweight championship. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, Scott LeDoux at the same time is now a referee. I didn't think anything of it, until Scott LeDoux started being a bully. He started doing things that referees don't do. He starts, acting physical contact with the wrestlers. His job, if someone breaks the rules, is to disqualify somebody. To make a long story short, I know, I can't prove it, but I know that Nick Bockwinkel has paid Scott LeDoux off, probably brought him out into the wrestling scene where he's never been before, and he's always been involved in me, in my matches, and in me and Nick Bockwinkel. I got in a match with St. Paul, with me and Nick Bockwinkel, and who's the referee? Scott LeDoux. Well, isn't that a coincidence? Scott LeDoux's been shooting off his mouth. He's been involved, and after the referee, Marty Miller, raised my hand in victory, Scott LeDoux jumps in. I don't know what he said. He changes the decision. The commission upholds it, and now he's bragging that he took a shot at me after I just wrestled the man for 20 minutes and was, I was exhausted and I was hurt. Scott LeDoux's a big man now because he just was sitting down for 20 minutes. Well, let me tell you something. I've had it above and beyond the call of decency with this guy. I don't know what he used to be around the Twin Cities, but I know he's a bartender, he's a thug, he's a paid-off bully of Nick Bockwinkel, who is sashaying around heaven now at Wrestlerock a shot at Stan Hansen, and it should be mine. So I'm going to, I said it to his face, and I'll say it to the public, if you want to get in the ring and be a wrestler, LeDoux, quit hiding behind the shirt and Nick Bockwinkel's $100 bills, quit shooting off your mouth to your buddies at the jukebox and, pretending you're a big shot. I said, put your money where your mouth is.
And I showed up, didn't I, Larry?
Scott LeDoux accepted, but, again, he's trying to get me because he wanted to wear boxing gloves.
Hey, where's that stand? You got to wear the gloves or not?
The boxing commission voted that they would not allow me to wear boxing gloves because it constituted a boxing match. However, that worked against me in some respects because now the contract called for gloves, so Larry has moved in with karate gloves, which is he is an expert in Ishin-Ryu. And it makes it tough for me because now it leaves his hands open to grab, his fingers, the whole shot. But the other side of the coin is they're 4-ounce gloves when we were going to use 10-ounce. So now when I hit them, the ribs will break faster, that's all.
All right, gentlemen, let's take a couple calls. Dan, you're on Talk Radio.
Hi, I just had a question. First of all, I was going to ask if there's any way possible maybe you could turn up the volume on the phone when I'm listening. It's kind of hard to hear Mr. LeDoux with his soft voice there.
We'll take care of it.
I'll speak up a little louder.
I was just wondering as to how the wrestlers got paid. I'm not concerned as to who makes what, but just as to how they got paid. I mean, is it on a, are they on a salary or something like that, or they get a draw at the gates or something?
Well, who are you asking? Are you asking LeDoux?
Well, I guess I'm asking Mr. LeDoux.
Well, let me tell you something. Scott LeDoux is a bartender, and if you're asking me how much money I make, it's really none of your business.
Like I said, I believe this is Mr. Zbyszko from the Tone. I'm not asking how much any certain person makes. I'm just wondering as to how they get paid, because that's one thing I've never heard anything about.
In other words, do you get paid by the match? Do you get paid for a year of wrestling? Is it under contract, or is that what you're asking, sir?
Right, yes, I am.
Okay. Larry, how do you get paid?
It's none of his business.
I guess it's a little bit of everybody's business. From what I'm aware of...
The only business it is, fool, is my business and the IR, not yours.
All right. Dan, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
The only thing from what I understand, because I just got into the business as far as a referee, not as a wrestler, the wrestlers, some are paid my yearly salary, some are paid by the match, some are paid percentage of the house, and everybody has a different contract. Everybody's treated separately as separate individuals.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk. Before we go any further, the Minnesota Gopher baseball team won over Creighton. Final score 15-14. They were down 14-12. Last of the 7 scored 3, and they've won 14 in a row now. The Gophers are looking good this year. Larry Zbyszko back on the phone, and Scott LeDoux in studio. Wrestlerock 86 coming up at the Dome on Sunday. And for the benefit of all the wrestling fans, we thought we'd do one show before these guys are... what do you do the last couple of days, Larry, before a big match? You just take it easy? You're out training, doing something? What do you do?
Well, I'm always training. I've been wrestling now professional for 12 years, probably a little bit over by now. I'm just always going. If I don't work out per se in a gym, the wrestling event at night is anywhere, however long it takes, of constant physicalness. It's a workout in itself. It's 20-minute aerobics plus lifting heavy bodies and constant movement and constant stretching. I incorporate a lot of my martial arts training in terms of stretching and tightening of ligaments and body control. Breathing is a very important factor, whether it's wrestling or boxing. As any fighter knows, when you withhold air in your body, that's when it hurts. So that's why a lot of fighters, when they get hit, they expel the air. When there's no air in your body, then there's no pressure against the organs, and you're very tight and very hard. Right before the match, I will take it easy the day before the match. I will do my training the day before the match. I will eat light, and I really won't do any training, because there's also such an animal as overtraining. The day before the match is my meditation and my concentration.
What do you have to do special to get ready for LeDoux?
Absolutely nothing. LeDoux, like I said before, number one, even if he was in his prime as a prize fighter, is no contest for a wrestler.
I'll tell you what, Larry, you are in for a big surprise. You think I've been sitting around here waiting for you? I've been working out with Brad Ringans, the Olympic wrestler, an Olympic wrestling coach. I've been working out with him for almost a month now, every day, working out in the gym, learning everything I can learn. I'll tell you what, you've got 12 years head start on me, Zbyszko, but not in conditioning. I've been training all my life, and I've been learning with Brad really rapidly. He's very pleased with my progress, and you are in for a couple surprises.
Well, I'm glad Brad is so pleased, but let me tell you something, LeDoux and Bruce and all the spuds listening. You cannot cram into a month what I have taken years. Before my 12, 13 years of pro, I was 9 years of amateur. I mean, if I boxed you, I will probably admit if it was straight boxing, maybe you'd win. But, brother, you have stepped out of your league.
That's what I feel about you.
I've had it up to here with you. I've had it up to here with the people of the city and the lack of respect for talent. And I don't need to put up with this. And you know what? It's going to give me the biggest pleasure of my life Sunday afternoon. I can't wait. Now, I'll tell you something else. I've got a surprise for you.
I can hardly wait.
If any of your friends want to do anything shady, I've got a second myself.
What do you mean you got a second?
Don't you have a corner man to do?
I got a guy in there that's going to come in and help me celebrate.
Well, so do
Bob Lurtz, he's going to work in the corner. We're going to enjoy having a couple of laughs after I pound the snot out of you.
You know what? So do I, brother.
So who have you got?
It's none of your business. You'll find out.
You're not going to tell us who your second is?
It's nobody's business, Bruce. Really, no one's business. I'm a professional. I'm a professional 100%, and that's psychological and that's physical. In terms of LeDoux, I am younger. I am stronger. I am faster. I'm in my prime. I haven't been punched in the face, for 17 years. My brain functions good, and if I, quit wrestling, I don't have to be a bartender. So, as far as I'm concerned, you might as well call this April Fool's Day, because One Shot LeDoux is just going to have to learn the hard way. He's going to be so thankful.
That's right. One shot LeDoux, Zbyszko. One shot's all it's going to take for me to send you
Okay, hold on.
away.
All right. Hold on a second, guys. Let's go to Warren. You're on Talk Radio.
I just wanted to ask a couple questions to Larry. I know that you were in 2 other wrestling associations before this one, and I don't know, I think that a lot of the wrestlers should thank Vern Gagne, because see, like Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan and all that all started with Vern, and I think a lot of them deserted him. But I was just wondering about, I thought the wrestling I'm most impressed with is Texas. Seems like on TV they always show the better matches, probably because we're out of the area. Another thing, I was wondering, do you think that Von Erichs would really put a damper on McMahon in this area? And I was wondering, do you think Kerry Von Erichs is probably one of the best athletes just that you've seen? I don't know exactly how strong he is, but I've seen him body slam one-man gang and all them heavy guys, and it seems to me that he's probably all in all the strongest athlete out in wrestling today. What do you think about that?
I'm not too familiar with Kerry Von Erich personally. All I can tell you is this. Number one, the general public, because of a lot of wrestling promotions and probably most like, McMahon and that, the wrestling public and the general public believe that because someone has a lot of muscles or a very muscular body, that makes them a good wrestler or a good fighter. And that is not the case. Okay? Most wrestlers and most fighters, are strong, are in good shape, but they're not the, 3-4 hours a day in the gym pumping up muscle heads. Because if you spend all your time pumping up your biceps, that means you don't have time to learn the science of fighting. Kerry Von Erich is very muscular. He's, a very agile guy, and he's had some training from his father, so he may be an exception. He may be good. I really don't know. You mentioned something interesting, though, about the desertion of some of the guys like Hogan and a couple others to the WWF. The reason I'm with the AWA and not with other people is because at least the Gagne has got enough class, even though we don't see eye to eye on anything except this one point, is that Vern Gagne does appreciate wrestling talent and does put out the talent and does advertise the talent, where Vince McMahon advertises everything and all the hype and the showmanship around the talent. But when you say like Texas wrestling is the best, you're exactly right in terms of you see a television show up here, not live matches. So the talent, as far as I'm concerned, the best wrestling talent is right here in the AWA, mainly because Gagne used to be a wrestler, a very good wrestler in his day, and that's what he respects. Vince McMahon Jr. Inherited the business from his father, who inherited the business from his father, and all Vince McMahon cares about is trying to hype people into buying tickets because he's got one guy dressed like a homosexual and one guy dressed like a fat slob hillbilly, etc., but does not give a damn about the talent of the individual.
All right, hold on a second, guys. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Your chance to talk to Larry Zbyszko and Scott LeDoux. Wrestlerock 86 at the Dome is coming up on Sunday. Evening, Wrestlerock at the Dome, as we were talking about. Larry Zbyszko and Scott LeDoux are joining us for this edition of Sports Talk. Be facing each other. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. I didn't think that...
Bruce, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I got to ask you, LeDoux mentioned the man in his corner. This is Bob Lertzema?
Bob Lertzema, yeah.
This is a man who used to play football for the Vikings?
Yeah, was a backup defensive lineman.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. This is the man that they call bench warmer Bob.
That's right.
Okay, here's another example. We got a washed-up, punch-drunk fighter, a football player who was never a football player, who they call Benchwarmer Bob, and they think that they're going to have a heyday at the Metrodome. You know, aside from the only thing that it's costed me over $30,000 in suspensions and who knows how much for the World Championship, I would really take this as a joke. If it didn't cost me so much money, I wouldn't even waste my time. But the fact is, I can't wait. I really can't wait. I'm gonna make such a fool out of LeDoux. It's gonna make my day.
I'm going to give you one more chance. I'm going to give you one more chance, Larry. Who's your second?
You wouldn't know the name if I told you. You wouldn't understand it if I pronounced it. And the people are going to be in for a big surprise. This is a man who is specially trained to people I know outside of wrestling, and he can stop all interference.
Okay.
I'm going to say.
All right. Let's take some more calls. Guys are waiting. Jerry, you're on Talk Radio.
Yeah, Larry Zbyszko, I think you should get yourself a nice paper route, and none of you guys can carry the jockstrap of Bobby Heener. Did you hear that? LeDoux's going to clean house on you, Zbyszko. You're going down, buddy.
Am I supposed to make a comment about that idiot or what?
No, he's just a very intelligent man finally calling in, that's all.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Don't waste my time, fool.
All right, Todd, you're on Talk Radio.
Mr. Nabisco, all time Scott LeDoux's going to clean your clock, Jack.
Yeah, but this is the mentality, Bruce, of the Twin Cities. You know, I come on and I say spudheads, and everybody wonders, what does that mean? Now you know. You know, LeDoux is going to be just like the North Stars. They're losers.
I'll tell you what, Zbyszko, this is one guy that represents the spudheads, as you call them. And I'll tell you what, this is one time the spudheads are going to come out on top, and you'll spend the rest of your time peeling potatoes if I have my way.
Yeah. You know, I see them all day long. They all got pickup trucks or little Blazers or Broncos. They wear their little caps. They got their fishing poles in the back. They're, wet can of worms. They're all going to go for... And their big thrill in life is to sit back and watch the North Stars get killed. I know some people who actually paid $50 outside the arena last night to watch the North Stars lose, you know? And now for Wrestlerock, they only got to pay $15 to watch you get your, I don't want to say face punched in, because I can't even do that. That's already punched in. I'm going to do things to you LeDoux that you never studied before.
I'll tell you what, I had 17 years. I've seen everything, Zbyszko. You can't surprise me. I've seen you wrestle too many times.
All right, Earl, you're on Talk Radio.
Oh, is this Wednesday night sports talk?
Yeah.
Good Lord, I thought KSTP restricted the weirdo stuff for Monday and Vogel's show.
No, if we restricted the weirdos, Earl, you wouldn't be able to call in.
Tell you. Anyway, I think one of them ought to stay in the pool hall and the other one ought to return to anonymity.
You know something interesting, Earl? I listened to this show last week when they were talking about education.
Change?
And they were talking about education, and you say you've made a call in that said that nobody should be allowed to get an education unless they were qualified. If that were true, Earl, you would be in Russia, and you would not be able to read or write. Thank you, Earl. Okay.
Hey, LeDoux, I thought they're all your friends. It's just one more spudhead, huh?
That's not a spudhead there.
All right, Todd, you're on Talk Radio. Hello, Todd. Todd, you there? Todd left. Jim, you're on Talk Radio.
Hi, I have a comment for Mr. Zbyszko. And it's simply, if he had to rely on his legitimate athletic ability, I'm sure he'd be pumping gas today.
Thank you.
But 4 phone calls, I haven't heard an intelligent comment yet.
No, because none of them have give you any accolades, Zbyszko.
They're spudheads. Yeah. And you're the representative. Whoopee.
That's right. I'm the representative, and I'm very proud of it, Zbyszko. I'm proud to be from here.
Well, you should just serve them drinks all night long.
Yeah, right, Zbyszko.
Mike, you're on Talk Radio.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment to Larry Zbyszko, too. I think he's got it right on, and I think he's going to whip the pants off of Scott LeDoux.
Well, it was the first intelligent statement I've heard all night.
That's right. And listen to me, Larry. This is B-Ray, his best buddy. Hey, LeDoux's a spudhead. I like the nunchucks, Larry. You're a stud, dude.
Good.
Okay, one of your enormous amount of fans have called in. Steve, you're on Talk Radio.
Yeah, I'd just like to say to Scott that maybe he's going a little bit too far with this. I think he should stay in boxing. It would be sort of like Ken Herbeck playing for the North Stars. And another thing I'd like to ask the 2 wrestlers there with you, if either one would ever care to get in the ring with who I think is the obvious champion champion, Bruiser Brody, and if they could comment on that.
You want me to comment on Brody?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Bruiser Brody is a big, tough man. But in my situation, like I said before, me wrestling Bruiser Brody would probably accomplish nothing more for me than another pocket full of money. I don't need the money. I don't need the glory. There's only one thing I have not reached in professional wrestling, and that's the heavyweight championship of the world. I'm not out to impress anybody, and, a match between me and Brody, would be a good match. He's a tough man. I can't take it away from him. But I'm not interested in wrestling Brody or anybody else except a man that has the championship belt. I beat Bockwinkel. LeDoux messed up the whole ball of wax.
You got
so
beat.
After I get through LeDoux, I'm going to take his head, and I'm going to put it in front of Stanley Blackburn and the championship committee, and I'm going to say, okay, what's your excuse now? And
Well, Zbyszko, if you had any ability, you would have the title. You've been around 12 glorious years, as you always like to tell us. If you were so good, you would have the belt.
All right, let's take another call. Janice, who's next here? Mike, you're on Talk Radio.
Hello. I'd like to, first of all, I'm impressed that he was,
Mother Einstein.
yes.
All right.
But his comment about Vern Gagne being interested in wrestling is why I called. When Mr. LeDoux came into the game, I was quite impressed that he was trying to do a good job as a referee. I've been a wrestling fan for years, and I've always wondered why they didn't get someone in the ring to try to make the game real and fair for the wrestlers and for the fans instead of all the crazy malarkey that goes on, and instead of seeing a real wrestling match. People like Brad Ringens seem to really entertain me more than the Crusher Blackwells and people like that.
All right, Mike, hold on a second. Larry, has Scott made this a better sport?
Not as far as I'm concerned. The principle of what was trying to be accomplished, I can agree with. There's a lot of referees who are intimidated. There's a lot of referees who are probably in the ring because they know somebody instead of being good. Having a referee who is a big tough guy who can enforce the rules is a marvelous idea. But you enforce the rules by disqualifying and making sure that the man gets fined. The referee does not go in physically unless absolutely necessary. I can understand that also. But, like I said, one referee raised my hand. Scott LeDoux came in and changed the whole outcome. He just came in and changed it. The match before that, he came in to referee with Nick Bockwinkel, and I know, like I said, I can't prove it, but I know through what I've heard, through the grapevine, that it was obvious that no matter what I did, Scott LeDoux was there to either make sure I got a fast count if Bockwinkel got me on my back, to make sure I got disqualified. If I got cut open at all, he would have stopped the match immediately because of blood, whether it interfered with my side or not. He would have done anything he could have possibly done to guarantee Nick Bockwinkel the heavyweight shot at the championship of the world, and Bockwinkel would be there with his hundreds, throwing them at Scott LeDoux, and you can imagine as well as I can, anybody who was once a somebody...
You know something, Larry? I have never been biased as long as I've worn the referee's shirt. As long as I wear this shirt, I stand in the middle of the road. But unfortunately, on your part, with your ideas and your mind, everybody's picking on poor little Larry Zbyszko. And now you've got yourself backed in a corner trying to blame it on me because you didn't get the belt. Well, after Sunday, don't worry about the belt anymore, because the only one you have to worry about is the one that holds your pants up.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. 646-TALK is the number. Larry Zbyszko and Scott LeDoux. And
Larry, there's one thing I failed to mention to you before, and it's been irritating me since the program began. You keep talking about Bob Lertzema, and you say, what is he going to help, and because we're coming in for a laugh. Well, I'll tell you what. There are two other individuals that I have talked to about being in my corner for help and advice, and one of them is a fighter out of St. Paul named Brian Burnett, who I'm hoping to have in my corner Sunday, and the other one is Rick Sikorsky, a fighter out of Minneapolis, who also was a state champion in Wisconsin as a wrestler, and he was a heavyweight. And with those two in my corner, I think I'll have plenty of advice and plenty of ideas in the corner as I come back to the corner. And No matter who you got in your corner, make no difference with those guys.
No, when you see who I have in my corner, it will make a difference, number one. And number two, Bruce, to you, isn't it obvious that Scott LeDoux finds it necessary to have all this help? Let me ask one question. See, Scott LeDoux is on the State Boxing Commission, and the State Boxing Commission banned the gloves. So you know what? And I know this for a fact. Like, I can't prove it, but I know it for a fact that Scott LeDoux went to the commission and he begged them to ban the boxing gloves so he could get out of this contract and not show up and fight me.
If that were true, why am I still in the contract? Tell me that.
Tell you what?
Why am I still in the contract then?
Because I found other gloves, because I beat the rep. It said gloves. It didn't say boxing gloves. Did it, LeDoux?
I would have showed up anyhow, Larry, with or without gloves.
So now that you can't back out, you got one fighter wrestler, one bench warmer. I mean, what do you want to do? Why don't you bring down the whole North Star team with their hockey sticks, seeing they can't use them on the ice?
You must be flying this guy in because that must be your only friend in town you're bringing in.
All right, guys, we need to take some more calls here. People have been waiting patiently. John, you're on Talk Radio.
Yeah, I was going to ask these guys who determines who wins the match. I mean,
I will determine it.
Yeah, my fist determines it.
Yeah, my fist in your face.
Jim, you're on Talk Radio.
Yeah, how you doing this evening?
All right.
Got a question for Scott LeDoux. I've been a watcher of wrestling for a long, long time, and I've watched many, many referees count, and I really want to ask for Scott's honesty on this one because I saw the match replayed over TV. With the first match between Nick Bockwinkel and Mr. Nabisco, and I really want you to tell me honestly whether you think that was a fast count or not.
I felt that I had given him an honest count. Maybe in the heat of battle, maybe I counted fast. I don't know. In the excitement of the match, who knows, But I try to be honest. Something I suffered through in 17 years of boxing is going through all the politics. I would not like it done to me, and I would not want to be a part of that. If you remember my career, I fought against those kind of politics, and I will do everything in my power to stay in the middle of the road, and that's what I did.
I can agree with that, but my point of what I felt when I seen it was this. I felt that you had nothing against Mr. Nabisco, per se. I felt that you just got excited in what was going on, and it just was something that had happened, and all Mr. Nabisco from that point on to this point has just chosen to take it on further and further. So I just hope that you guys have a really good match, and you guys make a good career yourself, and just keep it safe.
Thank you. You think it was a quick count, Larry?
Yeah, certainly I think it was a quick count. Scott LeDoux's telling me, he was excited. Well, you know what? It cost me $130,000 for his excitement. That's what I think of his excitement. If you can't handle a job, you get out. But again, 17 years of fighting, Scott LeDoux's been around it. So is he excited, or is maybe he's paid off by Nick Bockwinkel, like I said in the first place? I don't care what people say. I know that there's some controversy.
There's not enough money.
No, proof on paper. But I've been wrestling, and he's been fighting. I know the game, and he knows the fight game. And so, who gets excited? No one gets excited after 12 years, 17 years. It becomes a business. It becomes a profession.
Let's take some callers, please.
Is a thug who's a bartender who's probably dying to make that big money again. He can't do it, and I don't blame him for taking Bockwinkel's money. I might do it myself if I had to be a bartender the rest of my life.
All right, hold on a second. Pat, you're on Talk Radio.
First of all, I'd like to let him know I'm not a potato. And I've heard two little kids behave better than these two guys. All I'm saying is somebody told me they met at a corner Clark submarine sandwich shop and planned this whole thing together because they're afraid people aren't going to come.
Clark submarine. All right, thank you.
Chloe. Well, that's okay, Scott. I live in your neck of woods, but I think you're acting like a bunch of kids, and I realize why you're doing it. And when the book come out, let me know, will you?
Thank you, dear.
I couldn't hear the lady, Bruce. What did she say about a submarine?
She said that you guys sat around and planned this whole thing out.
In a submarine.
Clark submarine.
In a submarine sandwich shop.
In a submarine sandwich shop. I can deal with the spud heads, but ever since we let women out of the kitchen, the bedroom, and the laundry room, men have had nothing but grief. Now, if you think, lady, that, I'm going to go through all these problems and spend thousands and thousands of dollars, let alone lower myself to eat in a submarine sandwich shop, then you don't even qualify
Clark
for the
submarine.
laundry room. That's my comment for that idiot.
Okay,
Women should stay in a bedroom in the kitchen, and that's it.
you're going to get calls on that one.
I don't care. I don't care.
All right.
For years, I'm not changing.
Larry, stay on the line. Scott, take a deep breath. Let's take a look at weather around the Twin Cities and Metro. Doug, Bruce Gordon, Larry Zbyszko, and Scott LeDoux. And let's take some more calls. We got some people that are hanging on the line, so we're going to go to it as quick as we can. We go to start at the top. John, you're on Talk Radio.
Yeah, I got a comment for Mr. Larry Zbyszko. Mr. Zbyszko, do you really feel proud of yourself for attacking Bockwinkel from behind with your nunchucks? I mean, do you really call that wrestling?
No, I do not call that wrestling. What I call that is justice. I've been wrestling a long time, and Nick Bockwinkel. I'm sure you've seen Nick Bockwinkel a lot longer over the years than I have. And Nick Bockwinkel is a very, very smooth, intelligent character. And when Nick Bockwinkel walked into the ring with Scott LeDoux, he had his weapon. Scott LeDoux is his weapon. A biased, paid-off referee is the deadliest weapon a wrestler can go against. I want to make a comment, too, about that woman that called before, because, the way that people think about wrestling and the way that people take wrestling, kind of turns me off, but I can understand it. Don't think you're watching the WWF here. Don't think you're watching a little Mickey Mouse outfit, because there's a lot of wrestling, and I will say there's a lot of wrestling that is not legit, that is produced in little bitty Mickey Mouse arenas, because that professional wrestling is so popular. There's a lot of crooks and a lot of thieves that are trying to capitalize on the legitimate professional wrestlers. So you people, think about what you're saying before you say it.
All right.
Someone with nunchuck are weapons, but when someone walks in with the referee who's paid off, that's a weapon against me, brother, and that's my money, it's my food, my future. I'm not married, but I've got 2 kids from a previous marriage, and that's their bread and butter, too. And no Scott LeDoux, no Nick Bockwinkel is going to take advantage of me. I've been in this business too long.
All right, Bruce, you're on Talk Radio.
Yeah, I have just a couple comments I'd like to make.
Go ahead.
Number one, unlike a lot of the uneducated, stupid callers that have called in, I am a Rhodes Scholar, and I consider myself intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that Larry Zbyszko is the only honest person in the game. During his interviews, he tells it like it is. Only Larry would tell Wally Carbo after 40 years he still doesn't know how to talk after being here 40 years. Only Larry would call Scott LeDoux a canvas back because he's been on his back so many times in the ring.
Must be a pencil neck road scholar.
Pardon?
Let the man talk, LeDoux. He's the only intelligent person I've heard call here, except the one other guy.
Yeah, and I have a lot of respect for Larry. My boy Tyler is 3 years old, and I'm raising him to be like Larry. And I'd like to invite Larry to my golf course, or I'm having a little golf tournament this summer, and I'd like to invite Larry to my golf tournament because I don't think Scott could find his way around the golf course. And I'm wondering, Larry, where could I send you some information on my golf tournament?
Well, you'd have to send it to the AWA Wrestling office.
Okay, I'll send it, and I hope you respond. We'd love to have you.
I'm a 6 handicap.
Well, that'd be great. You'd be our guest of honor. And we'll send that to you tomorrow.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks for the call, Bruce. Appreciate it. Tom, you're on Talk Radio.
Yes, I have a question for Larry.
Go ahead.
I was wondering, I've heard in the AWA that your matches are set up, and that you people, have hidden razor blades and you hurt yourself.
What are you, nuts?
No, it's just as if you said, through the grapevine.
How are you going to wrestle? You said razor blades? You're going to keep razor blades on your body? All we wear out there is a pair of tights. And now someone told you we're walking around full of razor blades. Well, let me tell you, I'm not nuts. I don't know where you heard that one.
Oh, just from friends. So it's
Friends. Well, you got authority there.
So the matches aren't set up, who's to win and who's to lose?
What you got to understand is winners make big money. Losers disappear from the cards. That's a fact. Who's going to lose? Nobody
All right.
wants to lose.
All right.
We finally found a point we can agree on, and probably the only point.
The only the matter of winning and losing will come up on Sunday between you two. Any predictions, real quick?
It's going to be a very brief encounter for Larry Zbyszko because he's not going to be around to remember it.
Zbyszko?
Well, let me say something intelligent, seeing LeDoux can't. Look at it's obvious to everybody. Scott LeDoux, he's a big, tough guy. I've watched some tapes. I've studied tapes on him. And obviously, he's not the type of man that you can just walk up and punch in the face because he doesn't go down. But I'm not going to walk into the man's fist. I'm not an idiot. If he can get a good punch in, I'm sure he's capable of knocking out anybody. But if I get my hands on him, or my elbows or my feet on him, I can do a lot of damage. Weapons. It's like a knife versus a gun. I happen to be the gun. My prediction is maybe it's not going to be long. I'll give them 3 rounds as a gift. I'm only saying that because they're 2-minute rounds, but 3 rounds will be the end of Scott LeDoux.
Okay, one last caller, and then I've got to run here. Peggy, you're on Talk Radio. Peggy.
Yes.
Yes, turn down your radio and talk to us.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to talk to Nabisco.
Well, look at it. If this is about because we let you out of the kitchen and the bedroom safe.
Yeah, Nabisco or Oreo cookie or whatever your name is. What are you talking about? Women belong in a kitchen.
Okay.
What do you got, a pea for a brain?
Right, okay, here we have...
Hey, buddy, you got about 200 women that are waiting to wail on you.
Yeah, well, if they're from Minneapolis, I imagine they're all heavier than I am. But look at here we are. We're talking about sports here, hon, not the fact that women cannot control themselves emotionally. So if you have a sports question, fine. If you're going to rant and rave and throw a tantrum, save it for your husband or boyfriend, or you probably don't have one, but then again, that's not my problem.
All right, guys.
Okay.
All right, Larry, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you later.
See you Sunday, Bruce.
All right. Scott, thank you. We've got some phone callers that are on the line. We'll let you take those off the air, and we got to get out of here. Hold on. You have a